right to right. Well socked. That ball is going. That ball is gone. It's a brand new ball game. A 2-run home run for George Valera. In the air to right field. Hit pretty high. Hit pretty deep. That ball is gone! Ryan Webb with a walk-off home run. Naylor lines it to right. That wins the championship for the Rubber Ducks. So Naylor, the walk-off hit, and Akron takes it home in 2021.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Future Guardians of the Land podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Sleds. I have another special guest with me on this week. He is Cleveland Guardians 2021 fourth-round draft pick, a left-handed pitcher out of the University of Georgia, Ryan Webb. How you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great. I appreciate you coming on with me tonight.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. So I hope you had a good Christmas and New Year's.
I did. It was a great time to spend. I got to see both sides of my family. Got to see my mom's side and my dad's side.
Nice.
Got to see my girlfriend, and just being around my family again was really, really fun.
Can't ask for more than that.
Mm-mm.
So how's the off season going for you? I know you had Tommy John surgery last year. How's the recovery coming from that?
The recovery's been great so far. Everybody that I've dealt with so far within the Cleveland organization has been incredible. They've helped me every step of the way. Ever since that I got to Arizona in July, they've been unbelievable. Talk to them weekly. They've been great, and I've had no setbacks so far. Knock on wood. Had no setbacks, but so far everything has been great. I just started throwing at 120 feet, and about a month I'm going to be thrown off the mound. So I'm excited.
Nice. So is there a timeline if everything goes well for you to get back into game action?
Yeah. Me being I'm always very progressive in most of the things that I do. And I'm hoping that I'm going to be healthy enough to hop back into an affiliate at some point in maybe mid to late June.
Okay. That's awesome. So did you grow up in the Georgia area?
Yep. I'm born and raised Dog. Nice.
So you went to Pope High School in Marietta, Georgia. Had a great career there. So, especially your senior year, 10-2 with a 1.07 ERA. I see you hold some high school records and wins with 23 innings pitched with 165 2/3 and 227 strikeouts. So pretty impressive numbers there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was high school. We had a pretty special group of guys. My last couple years there, we had a first-round pick in Josh Lowe. He's with the Tampa Bay Rays now. Yep. We had a 10th-round pick, Matt Rowland, who went with the Braves. And then we had, I think, 6 guys in my class go play college baseball, D1 or high D2. So we had a pretty special group of dudes that I grew up playing with, and they're all still my really good friends to this day, and we still talk weekly. I played COD with them earlier today, so I still keep in touch with all those guys pretty frequently.
That's cool. So any special moment or moments you remember from your high school career?
Yeah, so my junior year, I got sick. I had mono, and I was not allowed to play in the state championship game, and we lost in the championship on our home field. And then my senior year came back, and we ended up winning the state championship that season. And that was unbelievable, just being with those guys when we lost the year before, and I couldn't help them. I was sick. I wasn't allowed to play. But being there and being able to contribute that next year was awesome. We ended up being the 5th-ranked team in the country that year.
Wow. Well, that's awesome that you're able to come back your senior year and win it after. That had to be tough sitting out. I can't imagine watching that. But you played for a Hall of Fame coach in Jeff Rowland. What kind of impact did he have on you as a person or a player or both?
Coach Rowland was the ultimate player's coach. I mean, he was an old school guy, and he had his ways where it was, we're going to do it this way. This is how we're going to do things. But everybody loved him. I mean, I loved him. All the players loved him. He coached for 28 years at Pope, and that's no coincidence. Like, everybody loves you and loves what you stand for and what you do. And he is the reason why we won, I think, 4 state championships in the span of 11 years. Wow. I mean, he's just the ultimate people's coach. And I mean, I can't say enough good things about him.
That's cool. So in November 2016, you signed a letter of intent with the Georgia Bulldogs. So how did you end up there? I know that's obviously your home state. Did that factor in, or did you have other offers that you considered, or was Georgia pretty much your number one choice?
From the beginning, I had always wanted to go to Georgia. I grew up a Georgia kid. My dad actually went to Kentucky, but football in our family wasn't very big when I was growing up. So my close friends, all their parents went to Georgia. So I grew into a Georgia football fan, ended up being a full Georgia fan.
Okay.
And I remember two funny stories about getting recruited by Georgia. First time was I was 15 or 16 years old. My coach comes out and he's like, hey, there's going to be some scouts here to watch you today. Like, don't freak out. Just, do your thing, whatever. And I'm pitching in the bullpen. And at Lake Point, they've got those clear bullpens. So you can see everything behind you, in front of you, whatever. The pitching coach wanted to get a good angle. So he's right behind the catcher's head with his camera, like videotaping me. So like the only thing I'm seeing as I'm warming up is him. So that was a little nerve-wracking. But my first visit was later that fall, was Georgia Clemson. And the baseball field was going under renovations, and I didn't really get to see a lot of them. But we went to the football game, and Todd Gurley ran for like 260 yards and like 3 touchdowns. Georgia beat Clemson, and the place was going nuts. I mean, he returned a kickoff for a touchdown. I left that game. I was like, we didn't see anything with baseball, but I'm coming to school here. I was like, all I need is an offer. So I just waited for the offer, got it, and committed soon thereafter.
So I'm sure you enjoyed this past football season.
Oh man, it was unbelievable. I mean, I repped every day to the facility. I would wear my black Georgia polo. I'd wear black pants, and I'd wear my red and black shoes. I'm dressed for a funeral. Everybody Georgia played, I'm dressing up for the funeral. Nice.
That's awesome. So you had a pretty good career at Georgia. You appeared in 55 games, 18 starts. Do you have a preference coming out of the bullpen or starting? I know it looks like you were more of a reliever than a starter. Any preference?
Really, there's none. Preparation wise, they're two completely different positions.
Right.
Even 3 or 4, I guess, because you got the long reliever, you got the setup guy, you got the closer, and you got a starter. And I did all 4 throughout college, and they were awesome. I mean, anytime I got to go in and compete in a high leverage situation, I almost feel like I live for the big moment. And I feel like that I do better in that moment. But there is no tougher task, I think, that I've done in college than closing out a baseball game. I think I had 6 or 7 saves in college, and every single save that I had, at least one runner got on base.
Oh, wow.
Like getting 3 outs without having anybody get on. I mean, that's tough. The fact that Mariano Rivera had like 5 something or 600 something of those blows my mind.
Yeah, people don't realize how tough it is. They just think, all you need to do is come in and get 3 outs. But, I mean, those are the 3 toughest outs.
Yeah, because everyone's up there. They're on the plate. They're fouling everything off. They're not giving you anything. And I mean, it's very, very fun because you're getting their best and they're getting my best. So, and the game's on the line because you're in the game to close out a game and close out a win. So That one's very, very fun, and starting's fun too. Especially when you're going against a dude and you guys are trying to outduel each other, right? Like who's going to blink first? So I'd say both of them. I can do both of them. I love doing both, but I think my heart is in starting.
Okay. Let's go back to the 2020 season. Obviously, the pandemic kind of ruined things for everybody. College, there was no minor league season. So how tough was that? And what did you do to stay in shape in the downtime?
So once COVID hit, I was fully convinced that we were going to be playing again in 2 weeks. So I was throwing 50, 60 pitch bullpens for the first about month every week, just to stay fresh, stay sharp. My name kind of blew up some draft boards, and I kind of not believed it or listened to the hype, but I was like, okay, I'm going to get drafted. It's my junior year. I had a good season that I thought that I would have. And I didn't end up getting drafted. I, set a number that wasn't, particularly high. I felt like by my standards, and no one came even close. So I gave myself a day to feel bad for myself. And then after that, I called my pitching coach at Georgia and I said, okay, well, we need to break down what I wasn't good enough at that didn't get me drafted. And we broke down those things, and I worked all summer. I worked out 5 days a week. I threw 5 days a week. I long tossed 5 days a week. I tried to gain velo. I tried to get a better curveball. I tried to improve all the stuff in my game that I thought weren't good enough for teams not to take me. And ultimately I ended up having a great fall and spring. It just sucks that it got cut short with Tommy John.
Yeah. And that was going to be the next thing I was going to talk about. That happened in May of last year. How tough was that, especially going into the draft?
It's never easy, especially when I felt like that I hadn't started in about 3 years. So you almost have to get your feet wet again and start to figure out yourself as a starter, because starting and closing, or starting and long relieving, is a little different. They're all the same. You're pitching and competing, but they're just a little different. And it almost took me a few starts to get my feet wet in the SEC. And then once I started getting in a rhythm, I felt like that I was really kind of going, and it was natural again. And I forget it. I can close my eyes and I can remember every single pitch. I was at Arkansas. I came out after 6, and something just, you almost get that feeling in your stomach. And it was kind of a muggy day. It wasn't really it was a windy, kind of colder day. And my coach came up to me. He's like, "Hey, Ron, you good for another?" And I was like, "Of course I'm good for another." Went back out there, and I don't think I threw one strike in my warm-up pitches.
Oh, wow.
Which is super uncommon. Usually never happens. Almost was like I had no feel. And first pitch, I felt almost like a cramp kind of in my arm. I want to say I threw a changeup. And then my next pitch, I threw a fastball. That one really tugged at me, and I gave up a home run on that pitch, fastball. So then I'm walking around the mound, shaking my arm out like, okay, maybe it's just a cramp. Maybe it's just a forearm strain or whatever. And me, being a competitor and also not thinking in the moment, is like, I can just finish the inning. I can pitch through it. So I faced 2 more batters. I got to like 1-1 to one batter, and I got another guy to ground out. And it got to the point I couldn't even bend my arm, couldn't even throw a baseball. I had to call out my pitching coach, and he was like, "Hey, what's wrong?" And I was like, "Oh, my back tightened up on me, like doesn't really feel great." So he's like, "Okay, we'll take you out." Walked off, went into the tunnel, and our trainer was like, "Hey, how's your back feeling?" Like, they said your back was bothering you. I was like, "I think my elbow just blew up." He's like, "What?" Like almost started laughing. I was like, "No, I think that, I just tore my UCL." And he was like, "Okay, well, let's check it." I mean, he touched it right where I said it was hurting. I mean, it zinged through my arm, yanked my arm back. And he's like, "All right, well, we got to test it." He did the valgus test, where you make your elbow stationary and you pull on your wrist to test the strength of the ligament. I've never felt a pain, and I've broken bones. I've sprained ankles. I've never felt a pain like that in my life. And I mean, I yelled. It was tough, just because I knew that was my career at Georgia. And the last moment I had at Georgia was walking off the mound after getting hurt. Just being at a school and representing a school that I had grown up and loved and wanted to be that leader for the team, where that was the last impression all my teammates got of me, is walking off the field injured. And it hurt. And I told the guys I wanted them to hear it from me when I got hurt. I didn't want them to hear it from anybody in the media or the coaches. And I just told them how much they meant to me and how much that they've helped me grow as a player and a person since I've been there. And I was there every step of the way. I was almost like I was an assistant pitching coach. My pitching coach probably hated it, because I'm sitting there watching everything and he doesn't get any space or anything. But I wanted to help every step of the way. And then the moment we found out we didn't make it, it was like, okay, I got to decompress a little bit, and it was like, let's go focus on your pro career. Let's get ready for that. And let's figure out where you're going to go and what the next steps are going to be.
It's crazy too with Tommy John surgery. Like back in the day, somebody suffers that injury and has that surgery. I mean, there's a chance their career's over. Now with the modern medicine and the surgery, I mean, some guys come back even better than before. So it's definitely changed a lot.
Yeah.
So you talked about heading into your pro career. You were obviously drafted by the Guardians, the fourth round, 125th overall. Kind of take us through the draft process. Did you talk to a lot of teams? And how aggressive were the Guardians with you?
I mean, everyone talks about draft day and you hear stuff and it's like, oh, it's the best day ever. It's awesome. And don't get me wrong, it was fantastic. But man, in 2020 and 2021, if I named the two most stressful days of my entire life, those are the two most stressful days of my entire life. I mean, you hear from everybody. So everybody's calling you, everybody's texting you, everyone's telling you good luck. You're hearing from area scouts, you're hearing from front office guys, and you don't know where you're going to go. You have absolutely no clue. Every team's talking to you. Every team's telling you where they have you. And then you're overlapping with other teams. I mean, it is an absolute disaster. And then right when the draft starts, you don't hear a thing. So I'm sitting there and I'm with my dad, my mom, and my girlfriend and my sisters. They're doing stuff in the background. And I'm just sitting there. I don't hear anything for probably about an hour. And I mean, you can't help it. You check your phone, you check your Apple Watch, you're scrolling, making sure that everybody, your phone's on, you're not missing any messages or anything. And then it was almost all of a sudden out of nowhere, my agent texted me, advisor texted me, and he was like, hey, we're going to Cleveland right here. I was like, okay, Cleveland right here. I look up, they have the next pick. So I looked around real quick and I was looking at my family and I was like, hey, I'm about to get picked here. They're like, to where? I'm like, Cleveland. They're like, that pick's right now. So we all huddled up together and watched it. And it was a really cool moment for me and my family, because I truly believe that I would not be where I am without their support. My mom and dad, I mean, they sacrificed a ton for me to be able to try to chase and live out my dream. Mm-hmm. And my sisters too. I mean, they put up with a ton of going to my stuff and having to delay some of their things that they wanted to go do for me and for my career and for my dream. And I'll forever be in debt to them for everything that they've sacrificed for me. And it was a really special moment that we got to all celebrate together.
That's really cool. And it sounds like you have a great family, great support mm-hmm. there. So that's definitely a plus. So how much did you know about the city of Cleveland and the organization?
Not a ton. My granddad actually grew up, I want to say, I talked to him 2 weeks ago about it. I can't remember the city, but he said he grew up about 20 minutes east of Eastlake.
Okay.
Somewhere in that area. He said he's grown up with a Cleveland fan his whole life. He said Cleveland everything. He went to Ohio State, big Ohio State fan. He's a Cleveland everything. And other than that, I really didn't know a ton. I knew that it's a really sports-rich history city. I do know that when Cleveland and Chicago played in the World Series, that those were the two longest droughts at the time, I think. Yeah. World Series droughts. And Chicago ended up winning, and now Cleveland has the oldest World Series drought, and the Browns, they're a storied franchise, and they're on the come up with Baker and it was Odell, but Odell is no longer in town. But my boy Nick Chubb, and you got Richard LeCount, who also went to Georgia.
Yep.
You got all those dudes, and they're on the come up. And the Cleveland Cavaliers are great too.
Yeah.
So they seem like they're really hitting their stride too. So it's a really storied town, and it seems awesome.
Yeah. Well, it's a great organization, especially for young pitchers. I was telling Zach Petway this last week on the episode. Mm-hmm. That's one thing this organization is known for, is developing young pitchers. So you're in great hands there for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I've heard tremendous things about the Cleveland Guardian organization, the way that they handle pitchers, the way they develop them, the way that they instill their confidence in them, mm-hmm. Is one of the best things that I've heard about the organization by far.
Right. So did you report to Arizona after the draft, after you signed deal and delivered last year?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So right after the draft, I got about a week to kind of take a deep breath and get to spend time with my family and my girlfriend and all that stuff. And then I went out to Arizona, and my schedule was different than all the other guys because I wasn't throwing. So I was with all the rehab dudes. So I would go in there at 7:30, 8 o'clock. I'd do PT and lift pretty much for 4-5 straight hours. And then it'd be like, all right, hit the showers, you're done. No one else would come back till like 3 because they got to do throwing rotations, and they got to throw off the mound, and they got to do all that stuff. So it was definitely weird because it was almost like you're on your own. You're on an island a little bit. But there were a lot of dudes that were also rehabbing as well. And our medical staff and our PT staff were phenomenal and helping me get my feet wet and really showing me that this is kind of how that we feel like that we're going to progress you through everything. And I knew every single day what my schedule was, what I was supposed to do. They were on top of everything. It was really, really well run, and they did a great job.
That's good to hear. So what are your personal goals for 2022 season?
2022 season, I want to have a full healthy season. I just want to get healthy and then show that I am healthy. And so I can believe it in myself, and, I can go out and compete and do what I love. And that's to play baseball and compete and, pitch against high level players. And if I could be able to do that for June to maybe I would go to Instructs, hopefully that would be in maybe October. So maybe if I can be healthy from June to October, give myself some time to decompress and then go back fully healthy for spring training 2023, I think that would be the best case scenario by far.
Awesome. All right. So for the last segment, it's getting to know your guardian. We ask some non-baseball questions, so I'll have a little fun with this.
Okay.
So whenever you're ready, I'll fire them at you.
Fire away. Give me what you got.
All right. So if you had to play another sport professionally besides baseball, what would it be?
I've always wanted to play football, but I don't have the body for it. I'm 6 foot, 200 pounds. So I don't think I'd have a future there, but I love golf. I would love to be a golfer. I think what those guys can do is incredible, and I really enjoy playing it. So I'd have to put in some work, but if I had to pick, it'd probably be golf.
Okay. So if you couldn't play professional sports, what occupation would you desire?
I would really, could it be a job in sports?
Sure.
I really want to be a high school athletic director.
Okay.
We had a great high school athletic director at Pope, and great at Georgia. Greg McGarity and Josh Brooks are both standout people. And just being involved with every sport and being around sports all the time is something that I've always enjoyed and loved to do. So that was always a post-career dream of mine, is to be an athletic director of some sort.
Nice. So what's your favorite game day meal or snack?
I love those Uncrustables, the grape Uncrustables.
Yeah,
those things are those are fire. You put them in the freezer for a little bit, maybe like 10 minutes, get them chilled.
Yeah,
man, there is nothing better than a grape Uncrustable. I tell you that right now.
I agree. Those are good. So how about your favorite takeout?
Oh man. I don't eat a ton of fast food anymore. But there's one thing that I love, and that's Chick-fil-A. I mean, Chick-fil-A down here it's something different. You wake up on Sundays and you're angry that Chick-fil-A is closed. Like, you wake up every morning and every Sunday and you're like, man, I'm just craving Chick-fil-A and it's not there. It does something weird to you, where every Sunday you feel like you need it.
Right.
But Chick-fil-A, I think, is hands down that number one go-to that I need.
You're not the only one, because the ones around here, it's crazy, the drive-through lines when you,
oh my
you
gosh,
try to go.
it's nuts.
Yeah, it's
crazy. Nuts.
And they even have 2 lines too, and it's still just wrapped around the building.
Still packed.
Nuts.
Yeah, incredible.
So how about your favorite music genre and favorite group or solo artist?
So my favorite genre is country.
Okay.
I really am not, I didn't grow up kind of in the South, I guess, where they call it. I was in Metro Atlanta, which is kind of the city. But when I was growing up, all my buddies were fans of country. And so I almost kind of gravitated towards that, and I've listened to it ever since. But I'd say my favorite artist probably right now is between Jason Aldean and Morgan Wallen.
Okay.
I think both of those guys are pretty solid musicians.
How about your favorite movie of all time?
Favorite movie of all time? No doubt Rocky IV. I think that Rocky IV, my history teacher showed us the Rocky IV is our Cold War unit. And that was all we saw. That was the whole unit. We just watched Rocky. So I think that is one of the best movies ever. The training scenes are incredible. He's in the frozen tundra. I mean, you can't beat Rocky in the frozen tundra. Goes into Russia and takes down the Russian Titan. I mean, it's a great movie.
Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorites as well. about your favorite pro athlete growing up? Any sport, doesn't have to be baseball.
My favorite pro athlete was actually Tim Lincecum. That's the reason why I wore number 55. I was about 9 or 10 years old, 8, 9, 10 years old. And I was just starting to pitch. And me and my dad went to a random Braves game. Had no idea who we were going to see. We just went to a Braves game on a Sunday. And Tim Lincecum was pitching. He had this crazy motion no one had ever seen. And he's a 5'10", 5'11" dude throwing 98. And me and my dad were just enamored by how he could throw so hard with such a small frame. Every time he came to Atlanta, we made sure that we got seats right behind home plate just so we could watch him and watch his pitches move. I mean, he was unbelievable and really got me to be a fan of pitching and want to be a great pitcher.
Yeah, he was definitely fun to watch for sure.
Oh, he was awesome.
How about your biggest fear or phobia?
Biggest fear or phobia? I mean, I really, really do not like heights.
Heights, yeah, that's mine
like
as well.
if you get me to like maybe 20 like stories up or higher, I mean, I'm crawling on the wall. I'm not moving, and I'm taking step by step. Yeah. I mean, me and my mom went to the Westin in Atlanta. We've been to roller coasters in Cedar Point. Mm-hmm. We went to in the World Trade Center, the new World Trade Center in New York.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole time I feel like that I'm gonna like vomit or do something because you're so high up. You can feel yourself swaying.
Yep.
I mean, the whole thing about it is it gives me the chills.
Yeah, I'm the same way. So I can understand.
It is not fun. It is not fun.
All right. How about your biggest celebrity crush?
Biggest celebrity crush? I feel like it changes all the time. But I'd probably say it's going to be Vanessa Hudgens. I grew up loving High School Musical. So Vanessa Hudgens is always like my secret crush. And I didn't want to be that boy that was like, oh, I like High School Musical. So I kind of kept it to myself. But Vanessa Hudgens was probably my biggest celebrity crush growing up.
Okay. That's a good choice. So what do you want to tell the fans about what to expect from you in 2022?
You're going to get a dude that loves to work and he loves to compete. I really, really love pitching and I love baseball. And there's nothing more that I want to get out and pitch and show that I'm worth everything that Cleveland invested in me. So I just want to get healthy, get out and show that hopefully that I can make an impact at the big league level at some point in my career and show that I'm worth everything that Cleveland's invested in me.
Well, you've got me excited. I love the attitude and the work ethic, and definitely happy to have you in the organization.
I mean, it's an honor to be in this organization. I've heard nothing but great things.
All right. Well, like I said, I appreciate you coming on with me, and good luck in your rehab. I hope to see you on the mound sooner rather than later. And and like I said, hope to see you in Cleveland sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Thanks, Kevin. I really appreciate you having me.
No problem. And everybody else, we'll talk to you next week, and have a good night.